morning and welcome to another Feel Good. And today we're at week 9. Clients never know what they want, so stop asking them. Okay, so what does that really mean? And I'm not just going to kind of tell you what not to say, but I'm going to give you some ideas on what you can change to as well. Okay, so why am I saying this? Well, through all my professional career, when I've kind of seen photographers, spoken to photographers, been in sales room with photographers, been in our own sales room and so on with it, there's this saying that kind of shows its head all the time, which is the one in front of you. So what are you thinking about buying, or have you thought about what you want, or whatever variation of it is? I believe it's the most stupid thing that basically anybody can say and things. And I know as photographers, we're inherently bad at sales room, or the majority of us, yes. So don't apologize for it. It's no problem, because that's good, because it means that we're not trying to do any hard selling. We're really not trying to push a client down a road they really don't want and so on with it. But we're not helping ourselves by kind of almost just throwing an idea out there, like, so what are you thinking about buying? So if a client is coming on a promotion, they probably haven't thought about buying anything. So you asking them, well, so what are you thinking about buying, or what have you thought about what you want? They don't want anything. They're coming through the door, and if you haven't prepared them in any way, giving them a price list doesn't kind of prepare them to buy. If you're a good experienced photographer, what do I mean by that? I don't mean just belonging to my experience group, but if you honestly offer your clients a really great experience from the time they touch you for the first time to the time they come through the studio and waiting to see their great images, you are doing a great job. But those clients unfortunately still need help in buying. I promise you, after all these years, a client is still going to walk into your viewing room, the majority of them, and they're not even thinking about purchasing. Especially, clients who are coming in on an instant sale, so like a makeover or a boudoir or a dog shoot and so on with it, even a child kind of shoot, that they're not really queued up in their head because they're just coming through on a promotion, and so they're really not willing or thinking about buying it and things really. So we've got to have several steps to prepare a client for an instant sale day, or for a post-session kind of sale, as it were. So in other words, they're going to be coming back to us in about a week or two and things. They've got a little bit of time to digest, and that's probably where the kind of the really bigger sales as a majority are going to be coming if we do our job right and things really. Look, we're looking at on screen one of my best-selling products of all time, what we refer to as the quintuple. It's now a kaleidoscope shades frame. It's a 40-inch glass in the middle. You're looking at 12-inch glass longest length on the sides. And as far as the look and the feel to the product, it is designed for my studio in my styling as such. You can pretty much see this type of product now across many of the top studios of the UK and in fact around the world. That's just not my influence, that's because it's a great product. And I've always believed that I don't want to just put everything into one frame. If I think more of an artist, where it's a painting in a frame, an image in a frame, a collage in a frame, a silk screen, whatever it is, yeah, it's one thing the majority of the time in a frame. So if we kind of just put lots of images in one frame, it makes it very easy for the client, but it doesn't really give us that kind of feature that I would hope my photography can kind of really bring some presence, some styling to a home, and something that in fact the client is going to really cherish on their walls forever, and not just because we're pulling the emotional strings and things really. So what I'm looking at for you today is answering or changing your mindset into how you can basically look at this. Okay, so if I'm asking you to stop asking, so what do I say if I stop asking them? All right, I'm being you now. Well, there's going to be a few things. One is we need to prepare them properly with what I refer to as a PSPS. Okay, so it's a post-session pre-selling. But in fact, if you are doing a instant sale on the day, the PSPS changes its name. It goes to a pre-session pre-sale, because in fact, leading up to the session, days, weeks beforehand, we're introducing the client to the concept of what we do and what we sell, and our price list pretty much in full, based on what they are coming into us for. So if they're coming in for a promotional session, they're probably going to have a promotional price list. If they're coming in for a full session, they're going to be having a full session price list as such. So when we're preparing them, we can prepare them with the likes of taking them to a secret page where we can introduce them to our products and the prices. We could be sending them an app as well to introduce them to our products and prices. You're going to get a theme in a minute, yeah? But we're introducing them to the idea and getting it ingrained into their head. Oh, this is what they do. Oh, and this is how much they kind of cost. Now, we're not trying to get the sale from the 20% of clients who basically never buy or buy a little. Okay, we're not really designing a price list for them. We're designing a price list for the 80% of the client, like I've talked about in the past, so we can make sure that this is going to work. So if I've got an instant sale client, I need that pre-session pre-sale no matter what. And in the same breath, if you are doing a in-person sale, which I'll recommend you to do, whether you're doing it in person in your own place, studio, home, lounge, whatever, whether you're doing an in-person sale online, or whether you're doing an in-person sale in the client's home, whichever it is, what we're doing is preparing those clients to actually buy our photography. And this is where we have a benefit in advance, is because when we've done the shoot, we can then show the client the actual products hanging on our walls. Or if we're working on location, we can take our best-selling product that will fit in the boot of our car, let's say, and we can still show them an example of what we do, as well as, let's not forget, what they might be getting if it is a promotion. Okay, we'll talk about that now in a minute. So as far as what I need you to stop asking them about, really what we're trying to do is actually turn the coin and educate them into what we do and how much things are and where they're going to hang. That's the key thing. So for a 40-inch designed to go above a 3-seater sofa or on a feature wall, a 24-inch will fit on a firebreast or above a 2-seater sofa, etc., etc. If we can give them a nice visual, then it will allow us to actually do that post-session pre-selling on the wall art. As long as we touch it, we feel it, we make them kind of look at it by pointing towards it, or in what I like to do is touch the main product physically in my hand. It invites them, if they want to actually touch it as well. But what we're trying to do is instill in their heads, this is what you should be thinking about buying, because I promise you, they're not thinking about buying anything. Suggest to them, I promise you, it's not hard selling. So in other words, you're now in the viewing room and basically they've got 5 people in a photograph, let's say, because it's a anniversary or brothers and sisters or a family, whatever it be, and things really. And when you've got 5 in a frame, let's say, most people buy a 30-inch because of the amount of people in the portrait. This gives a really great size to see the full expressions, etc., etc. So you can suggest it to them without any trouble. It's no problem if they want to come down a size or 2, but as long as we suggest something with a positive, there's a reason why they can actually start to look at a certain size for a reason. Direct them to the products. I already touched on, you know, kind of saying, look at this, and I'm getting them to look at this because I'm physically touching it with my hand, or with an album or a product, I'm picking it up and I'm showing it to them, whatever that is. And what we're really trying to achieve is this psychological element of that they own it already. So if they're sat in our viewing room, even before we start a slideshow, we introduce them to what's going to happen during the viewing and everything else with it. But one of the things I'm going to be doing is giving them an album And basically I'm going to direct them so that they know that all the photographs they're going to be seeing will fit into one of our albums or into one of our memory boxes, in other words, a box of prints. And by just directing them to that, even before I start the sale, I actually am instilling it into their head. And I promise you, if today, tomorrow, whichever, that you just start every one of your sales by talking and pointing out once more, or actually giving them the product, that will make a difference to the sales room. And you will go, why haven't I been doing this for years? Okay, so if one of your products that you want to sell and one of your best selling products is the box of prints, you might think, well, why am I still showing it to them and giving it to them in their hands even before I get going? It's because already psychologically they already own it, so now I can concentrate on wall art or other things as we're going through it. So direct them to the products. We should also listen to them, okay? And I don't mean just listen to them in the viewing room, but when we're doing the post-session pre-selling and we're giving them the price list, listen to what they're saying, make notes so that you can remember those things. Because if you're a busy photographer, whether you're doing 5 sessions a week, 10, 20 sessions a week, you know, you've got to make notes so you can kind of quickly refer back to Mrs. James talked about this, or she really liked the idea of that. Because if you can just get a little nugget, even if it's kind of 1 in 4 clients, 1 in 5 clients, it's probably going to be more in fact, but if you can pick up and make a note of what she says or what they love at the point of the post-session pre-selling, you can actually bring that into the sales room. And then basically, oh, I remember when we were talking about the portraits following the session, you mentioned that you really did love our quintuple with it. So straight away you can talk about that. Now, if they're saying, oh, I really like the desk images, you don't want to be talking about that too much. But there is, you know, profit in these things no matter what. Tell them what most people buy. The 3 most exciting words for a salesman: most people buy. So in the post-session pre-selling, if we say most people buy a 30-inch portrait of the family, in their heads they're thinking that no matter what. If you say most people buy our diamond collection, because they're going to think about and remember that, because most people buy it. So you can't say, oh, a lot of people buy this, or a lot of people buy that, and a lot of people buy this as well, or some people buy this. And you know, it's not, it's about most clients buy. Okay, if you can get those 3 little words into it, then you're not going to fear the sales room, which is key. So let's look at some quick examples, and let's first of all look at family generations. Now, family generations, I would expect to be the biggest of all your sales ever as an average. Why? Because there's multiple people in the actual sale. So in other words, here we got grandma as well as mum and dad and the kids. So we've got 3 generations, and 3 generations is magical in the sales room. If you treat them like 1 generation, i.e. mum and dad, you're missing really out on this. So at this stage, I'm thinking about who's going to be buying what. So you would think, well, mum and dad are going to be either buying for gran, or gran is buying for mum and dad, or basically what is going on. I've got something that is going to hang on the home in mum and dad's, something that is going to hang in the home in grandma's, and then I've got something that is going to be for the kids in both mum's office, dad's office, in the kids' room for grandma's, and for obviously the godparents, and so on and so on. The multi-generation, if you are not focusing in on making this the biggest of the sales, thinking about multiple wall art on a wall, then you're basically throwing an opportunity away. And obviously this is what we're trying to achieve. So always start selling big, and then you can work smaller if you have to. Once we kind of identify, so in other words, if this is for an anniversary, it could be for their wedding anniversary, the main person buying at this point is first of all mum and dad. So let's work on that first. But then I'm going to say to grandma, so grandma, what are you looking for the wall for the house? Yeah, I can often put that out there without even a blink, as long as you rehearsed it in your head to begin with. Don't fear selling collections with 3 generations or more. However, you should always start selling as the a la carte, the individual wall art first before you go into collections. But you should mention the collections at the post-session pre-selling stage. And if you've done your job right, in fact, and your collections are quite significant in pricing, then you're not going to fear selling a collection of 1,200, 1,500, two grand or whatever it would be. But again, don't forget selling to grandma or the parents individually as a part of the session itself. Then finally, let's look at a promotion. So you can talk about what they get in the PSPS, but not till late into the sale. All right. So in other words, at the post-session pre-selling stage, so you finish the shoot, they're just about to go home, you've introduced them to the price list. Before you introduce them to the price list, you show them what they get in connection with the promotion. Then you start to ignore that fully and you start to talk about your price list. You go 40, 30, 24, then you move to collections, talk about your box of prints and albums and so on. But in the sales room, you should completely ignore what they're actually getting included within their promotion until right at the end of the sale, unless they bring it up. Otherwise, all they're going to do is concentrate on what they get free or discounted or whatever, and they're not going to go anywhere from there. Even this business, a promotional business, will work if you focus on making things they want in the collections, and that is the power of the collections. And I think if nothing else, schools photography throughout the world has proved that people buy packages and they're still spending 50, 60, 70 pound on a school's photograph, which, you know, I could never be a school's photographer. I kind of give them all my admiration, but it's not what I want to do. But theirs is all about selling. And in fact, they're selling collections of photographs of the same one shot. Basically, compared to some photographers, they're selling it for more money. So you really want to kind of recheck your mindset here and actually how you're going to make money in your business and things really. So the key thing is stop asking that question. Remember that we've got that secrets page over on the experience group. If you'd like to actually go and kind of sign up to it and things, where you get a few of our secrets in there as well as a journey. So that will be really worthwhile kind of looking at. So next week, we're looking at make a difference in your experience and reap the rewards. See you next time. Take care.